Hey, hello. I'm Coach Willertz, the head varsity football coach at Western High School, and I have a couple football players from Western with us. Talking to them a little bit about, listen to that, all right? Get a little idea who they are and what's on their mind for this upcoming football season. So first of all, we have Austin Forrester. Austin's a senior, returning letterman from last year's team. Question for you, Austin. What do you think this year's strengths and weaknesses of this year's football team is?
We've got some real hard workers on this team. Everybody's pushing themselves day in and day out. The weaknesses, I think there's also some people that don't work as hard as they should be.
So last year's senior class were a bunch of dudes, as we all know.
Yep.
And sometimes they can overshadow the class behind them, right? And so this year's senior class that you're going to be a leader of, what do you feel as a bunch of seniors that you guys have to kind of put your mark on this year? Or, you know, how do you overcome last year's senior group and define yourself as the own different senior class this year?
Well, we have to show everybody that Western's here to stay. Nobody believes in us this year, but we're going to prove them all wrong.
Thank you, Austin. Next I have for you John Winden. John Winden is an offense and defensive lineman for us. And John happens to play 3 sports. He plays football, he wrestles, and he plays lacrosse. And so John, that's kind of rare these days, having an athlete that does 3 sports. It's an awesome thing. What are some of the similarities and differences with football and wrestling or lacrosse that you've experienced in your career?
Well, they're all contact sports, so I tend to stay in that category. I like the contact sports, and I just do wrestling to keep me in shape for football and lacrosse.
What's your favorite of the 3?
Football, for sure.
That's good to hear. Why is football the most physical of the 3?
It can be. I prefer it because I grew up on it. It's been my favorite thing my whole life, so
Gotcha.
That's what I like.
Thank you, John. Thirdly, we have Jake Kappas. Jake Kappas is our only returning starter on the offensive line from last year's team, and a lot of pressure on Jake. Another reason why there's pressure on Jake is that Jake's dad is one of our coaches, and it's can be tough being a coach's son. So what is the best thing about being a coach's son, and what is the hardest thing about being a coach's son?
I'd say the best thing is having a little bit of favoritism, but also it also can be a little hard because your expectations are a lot higher than the other kids.
So your dad went to West Point.
Yes.
So even more so, right? Because he's like a drill sergeant.
Yes.
So have you ever seen any film of your dad play?
I've seen a couple pictures. I haven't seen any actual game film, but it was of him pancaking someone.
So is there any pressure on you think, to be as good as your dad?
No, because I already am better than him.
How about that? Thank you, Jake. And last but not least is Luke Gall. Luke Gall is a tight end defensive end. And Luke has struggled a little bit with some injuries through his high school career. And what can you say about that? How has that been difficult for you, Luke? Do you have any advice for people? Because you're going to have a great senior year. You've rehab. You've done a great job of getting back in shape. But can you share with us kind of what the injuries, how you've had to deal with them?
Well, unfortunately, every time you get an injury, it feels like a setback. I had the surgery my freshman year, and I felt finally I'll have a JV year to get better. Then I had to get another one, and I had kind of a scattered all around junior year, and I'm finally getting back. I feel perfectly healthy for my senior year, so I'm excited for this upcoming season. But for advice for people, I would say just keep working through it. I feel like I've been in the weight room in rehab and constant doing stuff the last 4 or 5 years just to get over my little shoulder injury. But I'd say I've just kind of worked hard. We had a chat about this earlier this summer.
We did. Injuries are part of the game. Yeah. And to not get discouraged, right? Because it can get so easy to get discouraged.
Yes.
And you're a great testimony to being able to hang in there, and you're going to have a great senior year, right? This is, again, Coach Willertz, Bay City Western. Some of my seniors this year. Come out and watch us play. Our opening game is Thursday, August 25th against Ypsilanti over at the Cornfield. It's going to be a great 2022 football season. Go Warriors.